In the quiet town of Ashford, nestled between rolling green hills and cobblestone streets, lived Emma and Jack, a couple so inseparable that neighbors joked they might as well be conjoined twins. Their bond was the kind that made people raise eyebrows, the joint decision-making champions of the town. Whether it was choosing paint colors for the living room or debating the merits of planting a fern on the balcony, Emma and Jack were a package deal, a duo that moved in perfect harmony. Emma, with her chestnut hair falling in soft waves over her shoulders, often wore cozy yet subtly alluring outfits. Think snug cashmere sweaters paired with sleek ankle boots, delicate silver bracelets glinting under the soft light. Jack, tall and lean with a mischievous glint in his hazel eyes, was usually found in casual button-down shirts rolled up at the sleeves, his hair tousled in that effortlessly charming way that said, "I woke up like this." Together, they were less about grand romantic gestures and more about shared routines and quiet companionship. They split everything, the utility bills, the dreams of a trip to Edinburgh, the mild annoyance at Jack's meddlesome aunt, and even the guilty pleasure of instant noodles sprinkled with grated cheddar when neither felt like cooking. Jack was the kind of man who'd send Emma pictures of 3 different sofas on his phone before even stepping into the store, while Emma treated hair dye choices like a reality TV contest, presenting her options for Jack's vote. Their relationship was a democracy, a well-oiled machine of respect and partnership. Then one unassuming Tuesday, Jack came home clutching something under his arm that changed everything. Emma froze. This wasn't a new internet plan or a spontaneous bread choice. It was a puppy. A caramel and cream-colored bundle of fur, with floppy ears and pleading eyes that looked like it had stepped straight out of a pet food commercial. Jack's expression was a mix of "you're going to scold me, but you'll fall in love anyway." I found him outside the bakery, Jack said, his grin sly. I thought, maybe he needs a home. Emma stared from Jack's face to the puppies and back again, wondering if the dog had adopted Jack or vice versa. The little creature trembled, hungry and forlorn, and Emma's heart melted. The puppy looked up at her with a moist nose and eyes that begged, "Don't send me away, please." Emma laughed, the sound breaking the tension. Jack had always been a master of catching her off guard, and pulling a smile out of her when she least expected it. The pup, soon named Riley, seemed to understand the stakes and settled quietly on the rug, as if to say, "Test passed." Riley grew fast. In what felt like the blink of an eye, the gangly, clumsy puppy morphed into a confident dog with long legs, and a chest that puffed out as he strutted through the house like he owned the place. His nails clicked against the wooden floors, and he stretched luxuriously on the sofa as if he were paying rent. Despite his newfound swagger, Riley never lost his gentle nature or his habit of resting his head on whoever's lap was nearest, begging for affection with those soft, trusting eyes. Emma and Jack adjusted to having Riley around just like one gets used to the hum of a ceiling fan at night. At first it was strange, then it became part of the background noise of their lives. Their Sundays were still lazy and filled with inside jokes, but now Riley was part of the package. One evening, after a particularly tender moment, when the chemistry between Emma and Jack was electric but unhurried, Riley decided to join in. As Jack went to wash up, Emma lay on the bed, her chest rising and falling, trying to catch her breath. Then Riley, with all the innocent curiosity of a toddler, climbed onto the bed, gave her an unannounced lick right on the lips, and startled her so much she nearly hit the headboard. Jack, hearing the commotion from the bathroom, appeared at the door laughing like he'd just witnessed a slapstick comedy. "Don't worry, love," he chuckled. "Riley just wants to be part of the family." Emma blushed furiously, pulling the sheet up to her chin, giving Riley a look that said, "Why do you do this to me?" From that day on, she made sure to close the bedroom door firmly. One thing was Riley being a loving pet, another was him wanting to be part of their couple's moments. Emma swore to herself that puppy's tongue was just a freak accident, a bizarre life moment to test her composure. But then Jack, her rockin' partner, dropped a bombshell idea one calm evening. "What if we let Riley join in a little?" he said casually, as if discussing the weather. Emma's mind froze like someone asking if she preferred ketchup on her shepherd's pie, a crime punishable by silence. She turned to him with a look that had toppled many weak arguments before. Jack, ever the soft-spoken schemer, smiled gently. "He's so affectionate with you." "Just a little to see what it's like." Emma sat up, still wrapped in her sheets, and gave him a proper telling off. "You're losing it. This is a weird movie plot, not us. We brought Riley home to be family, not, this." She was outraged, but Jack's eyes twinkled with an unspoken mischief. He tried to laugh it off as a joke, but Emma could tell it wasn't entirely so. That night, they went to sleep with a silence filled with unasked questions. But the idea lingered in Emma's mind like a catchy but annoying pop song stuck on replay. Riley was affectionate, attentive, and his eyes seemed to read her thoughts. Slowly, a strange curiosity began to grow inside her. The next day, Emma acted cool, greeting Riley with a polite good morning without touching him, as if she were above it all. But every time Riley sprawled on the living room rug with that innocent the first didn't do anything face, her resolve wavered. She noticed little things, the way Riley leaned into her on the sofa, the way he followed her around like a shadow, not just out of habit but something more. Her mind raced with secret thoughts during showers and quiet moments. Despite the absurdity, despite the boundaries they'd never expected to cross, a small part of her was intrigued. Maybe it was the thrill of the forbidden or just the strange, unspoken connection that had blossomed between Emma, Jack, and Riley, and so, a subtle game began, Jack dropping teasing remarks, throwing playful glances across the room, testing waters. Emma tried to keep her cool, but inside, she was diving headfirst into a world that was equal parts thrilling and terrifying. Riley continued living his life as usual, loyal, loving, oblivious, or maybe not so oblivious, to the silent tension that now filled the house. The unspoken possibilities hung in the air, thick as the scent of Jack's aftershave and the faint trace of Emma's perfume. And on one warm, music-filled night, with laughter, cold beer, and the soft glow of amber lamplight, everything shifted. The way Jack looked at Emma, that familiar eyebrow raise, the playful bite at the corner of his mouth said it all. The night was about to become unforgettable. But just as the moment thickened with promise, a shadow crept across the room. A secret waiting to unravel, a mystery wrapped in desire and daring. The story was far from over. What happened next? Well, that's a tale for another time. The late evening air in Ashford was thick with the scent of rain-damp earth and freshly brewed coffee wafting from the corner cafe below Emma and Jack's flat. Inside, the soft glow of a vintage lamp cast amber hues over the room, highlighting the delicate curves of Emma's silhouette as she settled onto the velvet armchair by the window. Her deep emerald dress clung to her figure with an understated elegance, its subtle sheen reflecting the lamplight just enough to reveal the gentle contours of her waist and hips. A thin silver necklace rested lightly against her collarbone, catching the light with each small movement. Her feet were bare, toes curling slightly against the plush rug, the soft skin of her calves visible beneath the fabric's hem. Jack was in the kitchen, his sleeves rolled up to the elbows of a crisp white shirt, the collar casually undone. He was humming a tune, a low, playful melody, and filling 2 glasses with whiskey, the amber liquid catching the light and shimmering like liquid gold. The sound of ice clinking in glass was a small punctuation to the quiet hum of the night. Ready for round 2? He called out with a mischievous grin, his hazel eyes sparkling with the kind of secret knowledge that made Emma's heart skip a beat. She smirked, setting her book aside. You mean round 2 of this ridiculous game you started? I'm not convinced it's a game anymore, Jack. He laughed, the sound warm and effortless, ambling over to her side with the 2 glasses. Maybe not. But you have to admit, it's been an adventure. Emma took a sip, the whiskey warming her from the inside out. Adventure is one word for it. Insanity might be another. Jack settled beside her, close enough that she felt the heat radiating from his body. You know, I think Riley's been the real mastermind all along. Emma raised an eyebrow, a teasing smile playing on her lips. The dog? Really? Jack nodded solemnly. Absolutely. He's been plotting us this whole time. I think he's got some kind of secret agenda. Maybe he's trying to take over the house, one lick at a time. Emma laughed, a light musical sound that filled the room and made Jack's grin widen. If that's true, then he's doing a fantastic job. I swear he's taken over the couch, the bed, and pretty much all of my LPT. That moment, the soft patting of paws interrupted their banter. Riley appeared, his caramel coat gleaming under the warm light, eyes wide and expectant. He dropped onto the rug at their feet and tilted his head, as if waiting for permission to join the conversation. Emma absent-mindedly reached down, stroking behind his floppy ear. The dog's eyes fluttered shut in contentment, and for a moment, the 3 of them were perfectly in sync. An unspoken family united not just by love, but by a shared secret. Jack's voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. You know, the way you looked at me earlier. I think you're warming up to the idea. Emma shot him a pointed look. Don't push your luck. He grinned. Just saying, the night's young and so are we. The room seemed to hold its breath, the air charged with anticipation. This wasn't just about a dog anymore. It was about uncharted territory in their relationship, about boundaries being tested and desires quietly acknowledged. Riley, oblivious to the human complexities swirling around him, simply wagged his tail and settled closer. His warm body pressing against Emma's ankle. Emma's thoughts drifted back to the night Riley had first licked her. A moment so bizarre it had felt surreal. Yet now, with Jack's teasing and the subtle undercurrent of tension between them, the memory took on a different hue. Less shock, more invitation. The whiskey buzz mingled with the soft music playing from the old record player, a mix of blues and soft rock that filled the room with a languid, intimate rhythm. Jack leaned in, his voice low and velvety. What if we stop pretending this is crazy? What if we just let things be what they want to be? Emma's breath caught, her pulse quickening. She looked into his eyes, searching for the man she knew so well, the one who could make her laugh, challenge her, and now push her into the unknown. Before she could answer, a sudden noise from the hallway startled them both. A sharp knock at the door, deliberate and insistent. Riley's ears perked up and he stood, alert and protective. Jack exchanged a quick glance with Emma, an unspoken question hanging between them. Who could it be at this hour? Emma slipped her feet into a pair of soft leather slippers, smoothing her dress as she rose. Jack moved to the door, his expression guarded but curious. With a quick breath, Emma followed, the tension in the room shifting like a storm about to break. Jack opened the door to reveal a woman standing there, drenched from the rain, her dark hair plastered to her face and a look of desperation in her deep blue eyes. Can I help you? Jack asked cautiously. The woman swallowed hard, glancing around nervously before speaking. I'm sorry to bother you so late, but I think you need to know something about Riley. Emma's heart skipped. She stepped forward, voice steady despite the sudden rush of adrenaline. Riley? What about him? The woman's gaze flickered between the two of them, her expression unreadable. It's not just a dog. There's more to Riley than you realize. Jack frowned, exchanging a wary glance with Emma. What do you mean? The woman hesitated, then reached into her coat pocket, pulling out a worn photograph. It was old and creased, showing a young girl holding a dog that looked remarkably like Riley. He's connected to someone. Someone dangerous, she whispered. And they're looking for him. Emma felt the blood drain from her face. The warmth of the evening vanished, replaced by a chilling uncertainty. Riley, oblivious to the conversation, wagged his tail, but the look in his eyes seemed almost knowing, as if he understood the gravity of the moment. Jack closed the door slowly, his jaw clenched. We need to find out what's going on. Emma nodded, fingers tightening around the silver necklace at her throat. The quiet town of Ashford suddenly felt much darker, the shadows deeper, and somewhere in the distance, the storm finally broke. The rain hammered against the windows of Emma and Jack's flat, turning the streets of Ashford into gleaming rivers of silver under the street lamps. Inside, the soft glow of the fireplace flickered, casting dancing shadows across the room where Emma sat curled up on the sofa, a thick woolen throw draped over her legs. Her deep burgundy dress, elegant yet understated, contrasted with the warmth of the firelight, the fabric hugging her curves and revealing just enough to hint at the softness beneath. Her dark hair was loosely pinned back, a few strands escaping to frame her face, and a delicate gold bracelet jingled softly with every small movement. Jack paced near the window, his hands running through his dark hair in frustration. He wore a simple black t-shirt and jeans, casual but sharp, the sleeves rolled up to reveal the lean muscles of his forearms. His normally relaxed expression was tense, brows furrowed as he stared out at the rain-drenched street, replaying the woman's words over and over in his mind. She said Riley's connected to someone dangerous, Emma murmured, breaking the silence between them. But what could she possibly mean? Jack turned, his eyes meeting hers, a mixture of concern and determination. I don't know yet. But we can't ignore it. We need to find out who she is and what she knows. A low whine from the corner drew their attention. Riley sat there, looking up at them with those soulful eyes that had once been nothing more than a charming addition to their lives, but now seemed filled with an uncanny intelligence. His caramel coat was damp from the rain, and his floppy ears twitched as if sensing the tension. Emma reached out, her fingers threading through his silky fur. He's just a dog, Jack. Maybe she's mistaken. Jack shook his head. I don't think so. That woman looked like she'd seen things that don't add up. Emma sighed, the weight of the night pressing down on her. All right. Tomorrow we'll try to find her. But for now, let's not lose ourselves in fear. Jack nodded, moving to sit beside her. His hand found hers, their fingers entwining, grounding them both in the swirling uncertainty. The next morning dawned gray and heavy with mist. Emma pulled on a tailored trench coat over her dress, the collar turned up against the damp chill. She laced up ankle boots that clicked sharply on the cobblestones as she and Jack stepped out into the awakening town. Riley trotted beside them, his tail wagging but his gaze alert, ears flicking towards every sound. They headed towards the small cafe on the edge of the town square, the place where the mysterious woman said she might be found again. The streets were quiet, only a few early risers braving the drizzle, and the scent of fresh bread mingled with the crisp morning air. Inside the cafe, the warmth and chatter were a sharp contrast to the cold outside. Emma scanned the room, her eyes settling on a lone figure in the corner. A woman with dark hair pulled into a loose bun, her blue eyes sharp and watchful. She looked up as they approached, a flicker of surprise crossing her face. You came, she said, her voice low but steady. We need answers, Jack said without preamble. About Riley, the woman nodded, motioning for them to sit. There's more to him than you've been told. Riley isn't just a dog. He's a key to something much bigger. Emma frowned, crossing her arms. A key? What do you mean? The woman glanced around as if to ensure they were alone, then leaned in. There's a group, people who deal with unusual things. They've been searching for Riley for years. He's special, connected to secrets that could change everything. Jack exchanged a glance with Emma, who felt her pulse quicken. What kind of secrets? She asked before the woman could answer. The cafe door swung open with a bang, and a man stepped inside, his eyes scanning the room like a hawk. He was tall, dressed in a long dark coat that flapped around his knees, and his presence was immediate and commanding. The woman's eyes widened in alarm. We don't have much time. Emma's heart pounded. The mysterious story they'd stumbled into was becoming more real, and far more dangerous. By the second Riley stood, alert and protective, a low growl rumbling in his throat as the man's gaze landed on him. Jack moved to shield Emma, his jaw tight. Who is he? The woman shook her head. One of them. And he's not here for pleasantries. The room seemed to contract, the air thick with tension and unspoken threats. Emma felt a cold shiver run down her spine as the needle of danger pricked sharply. This was no longer just about a dog. It was about survival, secrets, and a story far darker than they could have imagined. And as the man took a slow step forward, the shadows in the cafe deepened, and the next chapter of their lives began. But behind the man's cold eyes was a question no one had yet dared to ask. How much were they willing to risk for the truth? And somewhere, just beyond the rain-soaked windows, the town of Ashford held its breath. The man's footsteps echoed ominously across the wooden floor of the cafe, each measured stride sending a ripple of unease through the air. His coat billowed slightly as he stopped just a few feet from Emma, Jack, and the woman whose name they still didn't know. There was something about his presence, quiet, controlled but undeniably threatening, that made the small room feel claustrophobic. Emma's emerald eyes locked onto his, steady despite the knot tightening in her stomach. She shifted slightly, feeling Riley press closer, his warm body a reassuring weight against her leg. I'm Thomas, the man said, his voice low and smooth, like velvet stretched over steel. I've been looking for Riley for a long time. Jack frowned, stepping protectively in front of Emma. Looking for him? Why? What's going on here? Thomas smiled, but it was a smile that didn't reach his cold gray eyes. That, Mr. Harper, is what I intend to explain. But first, let me ask you something. How much do you know about Riley's past? Emma exchanged a glance with Jack. They had only known Riley as the lovable, slightly mischievous dog who had become part of their lives. But now the idea of Riley carrying a hidden history was unsettling. The woman from the corner leaned forward, voice urgent. Riley isn't just any dog. He's been part of a secret network for years. A protector. A guardian of something powerful. Jack's brow furrowed. A secret network? Guardians? You're sounding like a spy movie. Emma smirked despite the tension. Yeah, and I half expect someone to pull out a trench coat and a pair of sunglasses next. Thomas's eyes flickered briefly with amusement, but his tone remained serious. I assure you this isn't fiction. Riley carries a legacy, one that others would kill to possess. Riley shifted, his ears twitching as if aware of every word. Emma's curiosity battled with caution. What kind of legacy? And why has no one told us any of this before? Thomas sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. Because it's dangerous. Because knowledge can be a weapon. And Riley, well, he's more than he appears. Jack crossed his arms, skeptical but intrigued. So what exactly is he guarding? Before Thomas could answer, the cafe door burst open again, and a burst of cold wind swept inside, carrying with it the sharp scent of rain and something metallic. Two figures stepped in, one tall and broad-shouldered, the other smaller but equally intense. Their eyes scanned the room, and in an instant, the atmosphere shifted from tense to electric. Emma's heart hammered against her ribs. Riley growled low and fierce, standing between them and the newcomers. Looks like the party's just getting started, Jack muttered under his breath. Thomas's expression hardened. We don't have much time. You need to come with me now. There are forces already in motion, and staying here puts you all in danger. Emma tightened her grip on Riley's leash. Danger? We're just ordinary people. Why drag us into this? Thomas's gaze was unyielding. Because Riley's past is your future. And what's coming will change everything. Emma swallowed hard, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Jack stepped forward, resolute. All right. But if we're doing this, we do it on our terms. The woman nodded, standing beside them. I'll guide you. But be warned, the path ahead is anything but ordinary outside. The rain had stopped, but the air remained thick with foreboding. As they stepped out into the misty streets of Ashford, Emma glanced back at their quiet flat, the place that had been their sanctuary now feeling miles away. Riley looked up at her, eyes shining with a mix of innocence and something deeper. Something ancient, and as the group disappeared into the fog, the town seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the storm that was surely coming. But in the shadows, unseen eyes watched, and a whispered question lingered on the wind. How far would they go to protect a secret that wasn't theirs to keep? The night had just begun. The narrow cobbled streets of Ashford were slick with lingering rain, shimmering under the pale glow of street lamps as Emma, Jack, Thomas, the mysterious woman, who finally introduced herself as Claire, and Riley moved swiftly through the mist. The quiet town, so familiar and comforting just hours before, now felt like a labyrinth filled with unseen watchers and whispered threats. Emma's heart pounded in her chest, not just from the brisk pace, but from the weight of the unknown pressing down on her. Her emerald dress was hidden beneath a long wool coat, the collar turned up against the chill. Her fingers toyed nervously with the silver bracelet on her wrist, the only tangible thing she could grip to steady herself. Jack walked close, his protective presence a steady anchor, his sharp eyes scanning every shadow. Riley trotted ahead confidently, his caramel coat glistening, ears perked as if he sensed the urgency. He wasn't just a dog anymore. In the cool night air, he carried an aura of quiet command, like a sentinel on a mission. Claire glanced back at them, her blue eyes sharp beneath dark lashes. We don't have much time. They're already looking for Riley, and by extension, for you. Emma frowned, the chill creeping into her bones. Who are they exactly? Thomas's voice came low and steady. A covert group called the Covenant. They've been chasing the legacy that Riley carries for decades. Riley's not just a pet. He's a key to something ancient and powerful. Jack scoffed lightly, though the tremor in his voice betrayed his unease. Legacy, ancient power. Sounds like something out of a fantasy novel. Emma shot him a look, but even she couldn't deny the strange thrill weaving through her nerves. Thomas continued, the Covenant believes that Riley holds the secret to an artifact, one that could change the balance of power in the world. They won't stop until they have it. Claire's expression darkened. And they don't care who gets hurt along the way. They turned a sharp corner, stepping into an alley where the shadows seemed thicker, the air heavier. Emma's breath caught as a sudden movement flickered at the edge of her vision. A figure darting between the buildings, too quick to catch. Did you see that? She whispered, clutching Jack's arm. Jack nodded grimly. We're not alone. Suddenly, a low growl broke the tense silence. Riley's posture stiffened, hackles rising slightly as he stood between them and the darkened alleyway. From the depths emerged a tall man, face obscured beneath a hood, his steps deliberate and slow. Thomas stepped forward, voice cutting through the night. "Back off." The stranger laughed, a harsh, cold sound. "You have something that belongs to us." Emma's pulse quickened. "What exactly is it you want?" The man's eyes glinted with menace. "The key. And anyone who protects it." Jack stepped beside Emma, shielding her. "You'll have to go through us." The tension snapped like a wire stretched too tight. The hooded figure lunged forward, but before he could reach them, Riley sprang with surprising agility, teeth bared and powerful. Chaos erupted in the narrow alley, shouts, the scuffle of feet, the sharp snap of conflict. Emma's mind raced, heart pounding as she tried to make sense of the sudden violence. Jack grabbed her hand, pulling her back toward the main street. "Run!" They sprinted through the rain-slick streets, shadows chasing them, the night alive with danger. Emma's breath was ragged, but she didn't look back. Riley stayed close, a steadfast guardian. Finally, they burst into the safety of an old, abandoned chapel at the edge of town. A place Claire said was once a sanctuary, now a refuge. Inside, the air was cool and musty, stained glass windows casting fractured colors across the cracked stone floor. Emma sank onto a wooden pew, her body trembling with adrenaline. Jack knelt beside her, brushing damp hair from her face. Thomas and Claire stood near the altar, speaking in hushed tones about their next move. Emma's gaze drifted to Riley, who lay curled at her feet, eyes bright and watchful. Her mind swirled with questions about secrets, dangers, and the strange new world that had suddenly invaded her quiet life. But one thing was clear: nothing would ever be the same again. And as the rain lashed against the chapel's ancient walls, a shadow moved just beyond the stained glass, a silent watcher waiting for the right moment to strike. The mystery deepened, and the game had only just begun.